Good afternoon. I continue reading on page 154 from the Cesar Millan Be the Pack Leader. Sorry. Wiley dog, what are you doing? There we go. Is that better? Is that better? Again, audience member number 1 is in the car. We are thankful that he is here every time. All right, the herding group, Herding. The instinct to control the movements of other animals comes from the predator drive that is rooted in the wolf nature of domestic dogs. If you watch any of the canine pack hunters at work, you will notice how they coordinate their positions in order to weed out the weakest members of the herd they are preying on, and how effortlessly they seem to steer the animals they're chasing to corner them, readying them for the kill. Over the centuries, humankind has taken that innate skill and created dogs that complete all these actions right up until the final moment. These dogs, the members of the herding group, don't kill the animals they are corralling. They simply keep them grouped together for human benefit, following both their own judgment and their owner's commands. Some nip at the heels of livestock to keep them in order. Others bark, others stalk and stare, and others simply use their motion and their energy. Popular herders include the German Shepherd dog, considered by some to be both a herder and a working dog, the Shetland sheepdog or Sheltie, the short-legged corgi breeds, the Old English sheepdog, the Australian shepherd, the blue heeler, the collie, the border collie, the Australian cattle dog, and the Bouvier des Flandres. If you know what it is, then yay. I like to get a few words wrong on a daily basis. It keeps me humble. Never shooting for perfection. My goal is 80%. Okay, it takes a lot of stamina in order to guard the herd livestock. So herding dogs were intended to have high energy levels. If you have a high energy herder, walking, rollerblading, or bike riding for 30 minutes to an hour at least once a day, and at least one shorter outing later on, are absolutely necessary to drain energy and achieve balance. These are not dogs that should be left to meander in the backyard with nothing to do. Remember, herding is a job, so being a worker is deep in the herding dog's genes. The dog is happiest and most fulfilled when using her energy toward a purpose. Giving her a challenge is your best bet for preventing or helping solve behavioral problems that are caused by boredom or repressed energy. Once you have completed your regular walk or run, there are dozens of different breed-fulfilling activities that herders enjoy. Of course, most of us can't bring cattle, goats, or sheep into our own backyard, but we can substitute other challenging activities. Due to their patience and agility, herders often make great frisbee or disc dogs. Yeah, that's clear. It's just hot. Okay. Frisbee or disc dogs, an official dog sport since 1974. Of course, dogs of all kinds can play frisbee. Some world champions were mixed breeds rescued from shelters. But cattle dogs have really distinguished themselves in this field. The 2006 world champion is Captain Jack, an Australian cattle dog known as the hardest working disc dog in the sport. If you are seriously interested in the sport, the International Disc Dog Handlers Association, or the www.iddha.com, can help you find a club in your area. But the great thing about Frisbee playing is that all it really requires is a flat, grassy area and the plastic disc. You can pick up at any sport or big box store for well under $10, even if you are just playing in your own backyard. However, it's important for your dog that you make the exercise a challenge. You don't have to teach her fancy mid-air twists and leaps, but instead of simply throw and catch. Throw and catch. Make your dog wait between throws. Give her a set of simple behaviors to perform before you throw the disc, such as sitting down, lying down, or begging. The point is to create a psychological challenge in addition to the physical one. After all, that's what herding cattle is: a physical, psychological exercise. Since they were designed to perform intricate dances around moving groups of livestock, the herding breeds often do well at agility competitions, like, it's SCHUTZHUND, and I don't know which letters are supposed to be silent, so it looks like Schutzhund. There we go. Schutzhund. Agility competitions and exercises are growing in popularity and are great activities to both redirect energy and strengthen the bond between human and dog. Dogs learn to jump hurdles, run through rings and tunnels, navigate their way through mazes, and complete increasingly complicated obstacle courses while racing against a clock, encouraged and directed by the handler. In America, the United States Dog Agility Association, based in Richardson, Texas, www.usdaa.com, has all the information you need to get started in the sport, but there is no reason you have to take the full-out competitive route. I often help clients create informal backyard games that challenge dogs in obedience and agility without the pressure of the real thing. An old tire, some hoops, a low goalpost, and a plank balanced on a couple of bricks, coupled with a treat reward at the end, can create the kind of focused challenge that gives even the highest energy dog a stimulating job to do. And you, the owner, will find that the more you guide your dog through these activities, the closer you and your dog will become, and you will discover more and more of the pack leader inside you. Alrighty. Flyball is another dog sport that is great for many, many breeds, but especially popular with cattle dogs. In the United States and Canada, the official branch of the sport is governed by the North American Flyball Association, www.flyball.org. It's a team sport for dogs. Basically a dog relay race through an obstacle course where the dog has to release a ball from a box at the end of the course and then return. Like human relay races, the next dog on the team can't begin until the first dog is back. So it requires an incredible amount of concentration, discipline, and respect for the handler. It also requires speed, intention, and consistency, all the factors present for livestock herding. If you have a high-energy herding dog at home, you don't have to watch her vent her frustrations on your furniture, your cat, or worse, the other dogs in the neighborhood. There are so many ways to find additional outlets for that extra boost the herding genes have given them. All right, here we got a little story. Gus the Bouncing Bouvier. I don't recall the right way. You're welcome. While participating in a man-made sport is a wonderful way to bond with your herding dog while helping her connect with her roots, there is one way that's best of all: the actual experience of herding real livestock. In the first season of Dog Whisperer, I visited Teddy Rosenfield and Shelley Jansen, two busy professionals who work in the TV business. Their year-old Bouvier des Flandres, Gus, had a habit of, well, bouncing. Of course, being a large dog with a lot of power and energy. Gus's bouncing was causing him more and more trouble as he grew, to the point where he would actually knock over guests, and even his owner, the petite Shelley. The couple had not set up a regular walk routine for Gus, and they didn't know how to guide him properly through the neighborhood as pack leaders. In fact, Shelley was a little intimidated by Gus's strength and energy. Good morning. I worked with the couple on the basics of the walk, and of course on improving their leadership skills. But after our first session, I scheduled another appointment to take them to the all-breed herding facility in Long Beach, California, run by my friend Jerome Stewart, a decorated AKC and AHBA, American Herding Breed Association, herding test and trial judge, and a true expert when it comes to everything about herding dogs. Ted and Shelley seemed a little hesitant when they first saw the flock of sheep at Jerry's ranch, and I'm sure they wondered if their city dog would know what on earth to do with them all. But as Jerry reassured them, biology and genetics had already implanted the herding program into Gus's brain. It would just take a matter of patience, practice, and some professional guidance to bring it out. Watching Gus, as he first approached the sheep, was watching one of nature's own miracles unfold. First, Gus darted after the sheep in a haphazard manner, not knowing whether to listen to his prey drive, "Kill the sheep," or his herd drive, "Organize the sheep." That's what I'm thinking it might have sounded like. With a couple of slight corrections from Jerry, he passed through the prey phase in the blink of an eye, and suddenly began to swing wider, guiding the slower stray sheep back into the center of the herd. It was amazing seeing this city slicker Bouvier return to his ranching roots, and I was jumping up and down and hollering with joy. Ted was truly moved by the end of the day. "I don't think I've ever seen him so happy or relaxed before," he said afterward. Ted and Shelley have continued to bring Gus back to herding class, and it's gone a long way toward managing his seemingly boundless energy. All across America, herding clubs run by dedicated people like Jerry provide this activity to make breeds of working dog and all across America. Herding clubs run by dedicated people like Jerry provide this activity to many breeds of working dog, and the American Kennel Club, www.akc.org, can put you in touch with facilities in your area. Recently, I even helped an antisocial Rottweiler by introducing him to Jerry's herding class. Jerry has a saying that I think sums up the primal power of the herding experience for any cattle dog. A dog with herding instinct and no training can make enough work for 9 men to do. A trained herding dog can do the work of 9 men. You need to decide which you would rather live with. All right, the next one is the terrier group. The word terrier comes from the Latin root terra, T-E-R-R-A, meaning earth, and that's an apt description of the earliest functions of the terrier breeds. Terriers excelled at hunting down and killing rodents, vermin, and small mammals, even digging deep into the earth to catch them. Later, the more muscular terriers, such as the American Staffordshire Terrier, the Staffordshire Bull Terrier, and the American Pit Bull Terrier, were bred to fight each other in public contests. Because of their convenient body size and perhaps also their incredible cuteness, terriers are popular dogs in America. Despite their smaller size, it's important to remember that terriers have hunting and working in their bloodlines, so they can tend to be high energy dogs. Some, like many Jack Russells, can be ultra high energy dogs. If you have an opportunity to raise a terrier from a very young age, then socializing and familiarizing her with other dogs and other small animals is a must. With older or rescue dogs, often the habit of aggression toward other animals has already begun. So in addition to your calm, assertive leadership skills, you may need a professional to help you break it. Don't make the mistake so many of my clients do, simply saying, "Well, she doesn't like other dogs. It's just her personality." Dogs are born to be social with their own kind. I've found that many people assume that because a dog is small, she will be content just to lounge around the house, or, as terriers tend to do, simply chase squirrels around or dig in the backyard. As we've clearly seen, the more energy the dog has, the more primal exercise is needed to fulfill its inner animal, dog, and breed. Despite their short legs, terriers often need a lot of primal exercise, or else they will begin to engage in obsessive or neurotic behavior. I often have clients who need to constantly add challenges to their walks with their high-energy terriers, especially when they can't walk a full 45 minutes to an hour. I advise them to add a backpack or rollerblade, bike, or skateboard to help drain all the dog's excess energy. Many of the activities and exercises listed for herding dogs, disc dog, fly ball, and agility games are also great for high-energy terriers. And it is no accident that many of the canine stars of the large and small screen belong to this group. Remember Eddie, the Jack Russell Terrier on the sitcom Frasier? He was played by the recently departed Moose, whose son Enzo now follows in his actor father's footsteps. Wishbone, The PBS star is also a Jack Russell. Skippy, a wire fox terrier, was one of the busiest stars in Hollywood during the 1930s. He co-starred with Cary Grant, Katharine Hepburn, and a leopard named Nyssa in Bringing Up Baby. He played Asta, A-S-T-A, in the popular Thin Man detective series, and played Mr. Smith in The Awful Truth. Budweiser's notorious Spuds MacKenzie was a bull terrier, and the beloved Petey of Little Rascals fame was an American Staffordshire Terrier. Once a terrier has been properly exercised, teaching her tricks and commands using positive reinforcement techniques, such as a clicker, and or food rewards is a satisfying way to redirect breed behaviors for both human and dog. A little something you may not know about pit bulls and other muscular terrier breeds, whose excess energy can sometimes turn into jumping or aggression, is that pulling activities can be as wonderful outlets for them as they are for working breeds. Criminal dog men who breed and train pit bulls to fight and kill each other in illegal underground contests often use pulling exercises to get their dogs in shape for the ring. But the same activity doesn't have to be used in such a dark, negative manner. When my dog Daddy was younger, I used to challenge him constantly by having him pull logs, tires, and other weights up the hill of the Santa Monica Mountains. I love to think back on the image of him trudging up those slopes with a determined expression on his face and what always seemed to be a gleam in his bright green eyes. He was in his glory, with such an important job to do, and it is exercises such as that one that helped him become the fulfilled, happy dog he is today. The next category is the toy group. In an ancient burial ground near Bonn, Germany, archaeologists uncovered the skeletons of an early man and dog buried together. The site dates to about 14,000 years ago. In Israel, a 12,000-year-old skeleton of a woman was found, buried with what appeared to be a puppy, cupped in her hands. In Alabama, remains of Middle Archaic humans from about 8,000 years ago buried dogs in ways that were, in the word of archaeologist Carl F. Miller, much more careful burials than man. All over the world, throughout human history, dogs have played not only a working role, but a very emotional role in our lives. The dogs of the toy group are the lasting evidence of how deeply we are connected with our dogs. While some toy breeds serve the purpose of hunting small vermin or flushing birds from brush, many of them have been bred throughout the centuries for no other reason than human emotional needs, as companions and for accessories. They didn't do any important jobs or help ensure human survival. We simply loved them. Many of these breeds are miniature versions of their larger relatives, but others have their origins so deep in our past that they have been forgotten. Toy dogs have varied genetic pasts, so you can't really generalize about their behavior. Some dogs were once bird dogs or ratters, like the King Charles and English toy spaniels, the toy Manchester, toy fox, Yorkshire, and Silky Terriers, the Papillon, the Maltese, the Pomeranian, the toy poodle, and the miniature pinscher. These dogs were selected for high energy levels, higher, and that can show up in their descendants. Pure lap dogs like Chihuahuas, Pekingese, Pugs, and Shih Tzus were bred for looks, size, and of course, for cuteness. Unfortunately, the cuteness factor is where the trouble with most breeds start. Human beings are suckers for cuteness. Anthropologists tell us it's actually a feature that's hardwired into us. So we'll be sure to take care of our babies. Because toy breeds are so adorable, we tend to let them get away with things that we would never tolerate in other, larger breeds. For instance, many people don't let big dogs bark too long. It's simply too loud and bothersome to us. Plus, when a larger dog barks, we tend to take it more seriously. However, when a small dog barks to alert us of something or simply to get our attention, we tend to allow it to go on as long as the dog wants it to. At first, we think it's cute. Oh, he's telling me he wants his bone, so we give it to him. Or, oh, he's telling me he wants to play. After a while, the behavior becomes annoying, but by that time, we have convinced ourselves that it's just the personality of the dog or the breed. So we don't do anything about it. And even worse behavior is biting. We would never allow a Rottweiler to use his teeth to manipulate or control us. But when little dogs bite, that's exactly what they are trying to do. The more we allow these behaviors, the more we teach our toy breeds that this is how they can get their way. Eventually, these dogs become so unstable that their behavior can escalate to attacking other animals or people. The key is to remember that behind the big fluffy mane or the sweet little pug face, your toy breed is an animal dog first. Remembering this and the formula of exercise. Okay, that sounded like a wasp. Remembering this and the formula of exercise, discipline, and affection. Fulfilling the needs of smaller dogs becomes no different than fulfilling those of larger dogs. The toy dogs also need vigorous outdoor walks. Though because they use more energy walking a shorter distance, they usually don't require an extended trek. Play activities should be performed in a controlled manner with a set beginning, middle, and end. The secret is not to let little dogs store too much excess energy. When little dogs become compulsive chewers, biters, barkers, or end up antisocial, it's because they have found that these negative activities are ways to drain energy. No matter how small your dog is, she needs to replace destructive behaviors with alternatives. Physical, psychological challenges that can be anything from a game of catch, the tennis ball, to agility courses and fly ball for higher energy dogs. And all small dogs can profit from a variety of reward-oriented obedience exercises. I got 3 pages left, my friends. Let's see if we can do this. The next one is the non-sporting group. This final grouping contains basically the kitchen sink of leftover dog breeds. You know, you act like you're so hot, my friend. I don't think it's as hot. We're in the shade. Wily dog. the non-sporting group. This final grouping contains basically the kitchen sink of leftover dog breeds that don't really fit into any of the other categories. Many of these breeds are among the most interesting and popular dogs in America, and include working dogs, herding dogs, terrier types, and miniatures. The 2006 American Kennel Club Top 10 most popular breeds in this group are: most popular first, the Poodle, the Bulldog, the Boston Terrier, the Bichon Frise, the French Bulldog, the Lhasa Apso, the Shar-Pei, the Chow Chow, and the Shiba Inu, and the Dalmatian. Depending on the breed, any of the many activities and exercises above can be used as add-ons to walk for you, and your non-sporting to work for you. No, it says walk. Okay. Read the whole sentence again. Depending on the breed, any of the many activities and exercises above can be used as add-ons to the walk for you and your non-sporting dog. Alright, here we are on 164. The breed is only the suit. After all is said and done, the many diverse strengths and weaknesses of this last group serve to point out the bottom line, that when it comes to any dog, the breed is only the suit. In other words, the more purebred the dog, the more of a genetic boost she will have for the characteristics her ancestors were designed to have. However, by fulfilling her as an animal dog through walking, the primal connection between human and dog, and through the three-part fulfillment formula, you will go a long way toward preventing any breed-related behavioral issues from cropping up. It's important to be aware of the needs and tendencies of certain breeds, but it's even more important to understand the basic psychology of all dogs and to appreciate their direct link to the rest of the animal kingdom. I often notice that owners with mixed breeds treat their pets more like dogs generally, and the dogs sometimes get a better life out of it, no matter what their ancestral heritage may happen to be. When people put too much weight on a dog's breed, what I call breed prejudice can arise. That's why, when I was a presenter for the Creative Arts Emmy Awards in 2006, I made a point to rollerblade onto the stage at the Shrine Auditorium with 6 pit bulls, all of whom had once suffered from aggression issues. They were there they were, under the bright lights in front of nearly 2,500 people, perfectly mellow and well-behaved. The ideal ambassadors for their entire breed. And of course, my dog, Daddy, had to be the star performer. Off-leash Daddy brought me the envelope with the winning name for television stunts in it. Remember, Daddy isn't a trained dog. He's just a balanced dog. My communication with him isn't based on commands or rewards or treats. It's based on a long-term bond of total trust and respect. Pit bulls have been the latest victims of breed prejudice in this country. I define breed prejudice the same way I do racial prejudice. Both are based on fear and ignorance. American history shows that the Native Americans, Irish, and Italians were some of the first groups that people in power demonized and blamed for problems, crime, and poverty. Then it became the African Americans who were responsible for all the problems. And now it's all the Latinos who are to blame. Of course, all thinking people realize that it's not the race, because we have great people in every race. All Italians are not mafiosi. All Irish are not drunks. All African Americans are not criminals. And all Latinos are not lazy. But every decade or so, a new group of people come along for people to blame for their unhappiness. It's the same thing with dog breeds. In the 70s, it was the German Shepherds that were the vicious breed. In the 80s, it was the Dobermans. In the 90s, everybody feared the Rottweiler. And since the 90s, it's been the Pit Bulls that everyone blames. The more educated people become and the more owners of powerful breeds, like Pits and Rotties, take their responsibilities seriously, less likely we are going to blame the dogs. That's why dogs are such great role models for us. They don't discriminate on the basis of breed. Yes, dogs sometimes gravitate toward others of their own breed when it comes to certain behaviors or play, like in the example of Lotus and Molly. But energy plays a bigger role in attraction. Dogs are just dogs to each other. If you watch the news clips from Hurricane Katrina, when the abandoned dogs of New Orleans started coming out of their homes, they automatically began to take up with one another and form packs for survival. In one photo of such a pack, I noticed a big old Rottweiler, a German Shepherd, and some other big dogs, but they were being led by a beagle. Why did they choose to follow the beagle? Because the beagle had a better sense of direction. That's why. And she obviously had leadership energy. Animals know that if another animal shows the determination and takes the leadership role firmly, they should go with her. They don't say, "Look, you're a beagle. I'm a Rottweiler. I don't follow beagles. That's against my religion." The Rottweiler sensed that the beagle was in a calm, assertive state, and that's all she was looking for in a leader. Dogs show common sense. They aren't prejudiced against other dog breeds, and we shouldn't be either. All right, the next will be part 2, balancing ourselves. What is man without the beasts? If all the beasts were gone, man would die from a great loneliness of spirit. For whatever happens to the beasts also happens to the man, says Chief Seattle. Next one's chapter 5, Dysfunction Junction. And we are over halfway. Yes, we are. Thank you for letting me read to you. You know I appreciate you. Here's what we've been reading. That's that his dog that he talks about all the time. So beautiful. Yeah, is it? Did I show the right one? Might be that one. All right. Thanks for playing. Oh, it's hot diggity dog outside here in Oklahoma. Thank you for being with me. I appreciate you.